Love 'em or loathe 'em, from Twinkle Star Sprites to Fantasy Zone, the Q-em-up has long been an indisputable part of the shmup ecosystem. In Oshaberi, Horijo, Gekihori from Japanese developer Cloud's Play, who kindly supplied this copy of the game, we have a new entrant in the field featuring a young girl blasting off both through the depths of space and over the surfaces of 5 weird and wonderful worlds, with her companion, some sort of cross between a domestic cat and Mewtwo from Pokemon, for company. Currently this game is only available from the Japanese eShop, but with the Switch being region free and Play Asia offering easy access to Japanese eShop credit, that shouldn't be much of a barrier to anyone considering a purchase. However, the real question is it worth a purchase? Well, let's take a look. Now, as you can probably already tell from this footage, when I said this was a Q-em-up, I really meant it. The visuals in this game look straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon. Wacky aliens fly through primary coloured black backdrops that could have been lifted from your baby sister's colouring book. Now, whether this style is for you or not, it's not my place to say, but what I can say is there's a wonderfully bold vibrancy to the visuals, with the backgrounds being rich in detail and each enemy type standing out as unique and memorable. The enemies also come in a vast variety of shapes and forms, from robot fish on surfboards to aliens piloting ships shaped like watermelons, and really do look like they've flown straight from an animated series and into your Switch. And speaking of watermelons, the first boss literally is one, which perhaps more than anything else ought to give you a sense of the tone the game is going for. Hint, it does not take itself too seriously. This first boss encounter ought also to give you a sense of the difficulty of the game, which, belying the cutesy nature of the whole package, is far from easy. Once you go beyond the first few stages, the game throws a hell of a lot of bullets, lasers and deadly stars your way, with boss battles being particularly tough. Oddly, however, the difficulty seems to reach its peak at about the midway stage of the game, with the last couple of stages and bosses offering less challenge than those that preceded them. The developers have been using the Japanese hashtag casual when referring to the game on Twitter, but that requires some qualification. While I would call this most definitely a casual experience when compared to other shmups, that's only because the genre is dedicated to being fiercely and relentlessly balls to the wall difficult, and Oshaberi Horijo's casual nature should be understood only within that context. Now, in that context, this is very much a console shmup, and with no arcade style credit system, there is no way of credit feeding your way to the end. However, while the game may not offer you anything in the way of continues, it is broken up into multiple short stages and allows you to jump back in at the start of the most recent one you reached, meaning finishing the game is something most people should be able to achieve with a few hours practice. Making this even more of a possibility is another non-arcade feature, the fact that various aspects of your character can be upgraded by visiting shops that pop up now and then during your journey, these upgrades being permanent. Now, in order to understand the items in the shop, we'll need first to understand the systems in Oshaberi Horijo, which are in all honesty remarkably simple. You move around and you shoot forwards. The cat creature also fires a weaker shot which travels in the opposite direction to your movement, and that is it. You don't even have a bomb. You do have, though, a gravity meter which acts as a health bar and depletes not only when taking a hit, but also gradually as you play. After destroying certain enemies, a pickup item appears, and this alternates between 3 colours as it bounces around the screen. Green will replenish your gravity meter, blue gives you a temporary laser, and red a forward boost amid a major explosion. All of these can be levelled up in the shop, as can your main shot, both in terms of its power and spread. Of these items, however, it will be the green gravity pickup you almost always require, since even if you're playing flawlessly, the continual depletion of your gravity gauge will ensure you can't go too long without a top-up. It also doesn't help that the 2 other power-ups don't seem to be particularly effective. They last for only very short durations and are rarely much help if you're in trouble, even when they've been leveled up a few times in the shop. In order to buy things in the shop, you will have to collect gold. This sometimes comes straight out of the enemies, but it can also be earned by collecting the far more frequent drops of various minerals that come either from enemies or from the areas of solid ground which your character can drill through, and then selling them to the shopkeeper. You keep all these minerals in a backpack, the size of which can also be upgraded in the shop. Now, as mentioned, the number of bullets on screen can make things pretty hectic, but with the various multicoloured minerals also erupting left, right and centre as you blast through rocks and enemies, and the bright, vivid nature of the backgrounds, the game can on occasion become an almost unparsable chaos that will flay your visual cortex into candy-coloured strips, And while something similar is often just a byproduct of the manic nature of the genre, in the case of Oshaberi Horijo it can go a little too far, leaving you in genuine confusion over what is and isn't out to harm you. That aside though, while the game is simplistic, it is a whole lot of fun, and safely negotiating your way through the boss fights will require serious dexterity and test your dodging skills to the limit. The main stages are easier but never boring, and are punctuated by frequent mini-boss fights, which while they do repeat several times, still do a good job of mixing up the experience and adding variety to the game. This is especially important since, due to the shop system, you may find yourself playing through the earlier levels a few times, in order to grind yourself some gold. However, this is far less of a chore than in some other grindy games, hello Skyforce, since the action is consistently fast-paced and fun. I'm not sure any game of this nature can escape the inevitable twofold problem having upgrades brings though, and this is no exception. The problems being of course that later levels, while not absolutely requiring a higher level of items, do seem to be based around that, while early levels in contrast become pointlessly easy as your power increases. This isn't my personal favourite way of doing things, since you can never be sure if you defeated that troublesome boss through your own merit or simply through being massively overpowered. As mentioned, my own experience was I needed to spend a long time on a couple of the bosses in the middle of the game, which once beaten led to me flying through the last couple of stages easily, and beating the last boss on my first try. Was this because I played well, or was it because I'd levelled up to a ridiculous degree earlier? I'll never really know. Now, other than the main campaign itself, there's also a gallery filled with unlockables, a harder difficulty that opens up after beating normal, and one more option which I've personally yet to unlock. The gallery is a nice way to show off the visual variety displayed throughout the game, and I really do want to re-emphasise here quite how rich and detailed and alive the backgrounds feel. They're really full of quirky little elements you'll keep noticing even after repeat playthroughs. In terms of audio, there is a major split. The music is bouncy and fun and everything you expect when looking at the game, and the effects are for the most part of a similar nature. That is, until you take into account the god-awful chattering of the main character, who just never shuts up, and has an immensely irritating and shrill little bratty kid's voice. Now, the Oshaberi in the title does refer to chatting, but intentional or not, I doubt many people will be able to listen to her for long without wishing for some earplugs. Fortunately, audio options do allow you to turn her volume down to a more tolerable level, which for some people may well mean 0. This shouldn't detract too much from the presentation, which, however childish it may be, is undeniably stylish, with everything adhering perfectly to its cartoony tone. But be warned, it can be a little annoying. Now, this game was something of a surprise drop, and honestly I hadn't even heard a single mention of it until a couple of days after it was released. And that's a real shame, because despite its for the casual's appearance, this is a really fun and frantic little shmup. And while of course it neither is nor aims to be considered among the top ranks of shmups on Switch, it's well worth checking out if you're looking for something different. Now, since the game is in Japanese and I'm far from fluent in that language, just like I did in my Raider G Swag review, I will refrain from giving a score, since I can't be 100% sure I'm not missing anything. I definitely recommend this game though, and it should be easy enough to navigate even for someone with no knowledge of Japanese whatsoever. If the childish visuals appeal to you, this is definitely worth the effort of picking up a bit of Japanese eShop credit for, and I hope that if any of you do, you'll get a lot of fun from the title. If you do decide to give this one a go, be sure to let us know, as I feel Western players of this title are going to be vanishingly rare, so it'll be interesting to hear alternative opinions. Alright, thanks as ever for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Cheers.